you want to talk about today because it's been a busy week. I think everyone knows that Guitar Summit is over, and that happened this week. I don't know if anybody here was in the area and managed to participate in that event. And if you did, I want to hear all about it. I obviously did not go. It's a little far for me to head on over to Germany, although it probably would be very cool. Obviously, I did not go. So, if any of you are in Europe or in Germany, that part of Europe, I'd love to hear about it. Let us know. I had my eyes on a lot of the announcements, new gear coming out. It was interesting for me to see some of the new stuff that came out. So obviously I want to talk about that today, and maybe you guys have also spotted some interesting things that you guys are interested in possibly looking at. So we're going to talk about all that great stuff today. Hey, I noticed that my one of my notifications is not on the screen here. So let me just pop that up so you guys know. For the newcomers, if you guys are not aware, you got to be able to, if you want to chat, you got to subscribe. And usually I have that written on the lower left-hand side of, well, my lower left here. It's not there today. We'll leave it off. But just so you guys know, you have to subscribe to chat, okay? So if you're new here, I don't want you guys to be left out. Please subscribe so we can all chat together. Let me say good morning to the boys. Wayne is here, Cushman, Vox, Gene, Presley, Martin, D. Smith, Dan, Vinny's World. We got a nice full house so far. I'm glad you guys didn't forget about me. What have you guys been up to this week? Let's start with that. Anybody get in trouble this week? Paul says that the Harley Benton with a Vega Trem was interesting. So Paul's referring to, I guess, what the Harley Benton folks showed at the Guitar Summit. I also noticed that. I'm wondering how much more that's going to add to the cost of that guitar, because just the Vega Trem itself is like over 300 bucks. So I'm wondering if those guitars now that were previously budget guitars, if they're going to be not budget guitars anymore. I don't know what the prices are. Didn't look at the pricing yet. Did you happen to notice the pricing, or did they mention the pricing on that, Paul? But I think it's a great choice. The Vega Trem system is fantastic, guys. I know it's expensive, but trust me, it's worth it. I have it on 2 of my guitars right now, and I love them. They really, really work well. Much better, in my opinion, than a Floyd, just because Floyds are finicky. They're a little bit more, they require a bit more maintenance, where the Vega Trem doesn't really need any maintenance, works really well and feels so smooth, and is an easy drop-in replacement too. So you can, like, I could take a guitar like this, and I could put a Vega Trem on this if I wanted to, you know. By the way, I don't know if you guys were still guessing which guitars I'd be playing or holding, but today I'm using my Squier Contemporary, which is overall a really sleeper guitar. I showed this one. I got 2 of these. I got this one, which is a pearl color with matching headstock, painted headstock, and I have a red one. And very cool guitars. They're very similar in features to like a Charvel. At a fraction of the cost. I mean, if this said Charvel on it, you would probably pay 1,600 bucks for it. These ones came out, I think they were like 400 or maybe even less than 400 at the time, but they quickly were snatched away. I think Fender realized they were kind of cannibalizing what they were trying to do with Charvel, because basically it's very similar guitar. You're getting I guess 95% of the features, and a really nice neck, maple neck, and feels great, plays great as well. Now I'm playing through this Amp Academy stomp. This is something I got this week from Nuex, and I'm evaluating it. I'm gonna try and see if I can do a full review on it for you guys. And I'm just tweaking some of the sounds, just playing around with it this week, just to see what it can do. It's a very nice little unit, I gotta say. I still don't know all the ins and outs about it, because there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this thing. But it's kind of interesting because the sounds are very tweakable. And I usually don't like the factory stock sounds on most of these multi-effects units. I try and tweak them to my liking. There's a lot of things here that have a lot of potential, but some of them, the frequency range is not in the right place, or maybe it's a little too dark, so I like to go through them. This one is a diesel. It's supposed to be a diesel patch. So I guess you can hear that. Hopefully it sounds good on your end. I don't know if I'm blowing your eardrums out. Tell me if the sound's good, guys, because I kind of had to jump in quickly today and I didn't have too much time to check sound levels and all that kind of stuff. So let me know if it sounds okay. All right, guys. So how about you guys? I haven't heard anybody come up with any kind of anecdotal story about gear or anything like that. So far, you guys have been pretty good lately, I have to say. Not many of you have come up with new stuff, or perhaps you're just waiting for Boxing Day, Christmas, all that stuff that's on its way. It'll be here soon. Maybe you guys are saving your pennies for that. Not sure. Paul here says that they said they only had the prototype, and even that may not be final, no price, but they claimed it would still appear to be a bargain. I guess it depends what you consider a bargain. I'm curious to see what the price will be on those, the final pricing. But they had some nice stuff there. I saw the Harley Benton booth tour, and they had some interesting acoustic guitars as well. And that guitar with the Vega Trem was pretty nice. A lot of cool stuff. Hey, Charles, nice to see you, buddy. Rico, what's going on? Martin likes my t-shirt. Thanks, man. So let's go over some of the new stuff that has popped out in the news over the last week or so. A lot of interesting things at the Guitar Summit. One of the notable things that I kind of paid attention to was the fact that Line 6 finally launched the Stadium XL. And a lot of people have been waiting for that to drop. And apparently it's supposed to be a game changer. I don't know how much it's actually going to be different, but apparently it's supposed to be making waves. So I'd be very curious to see what it can actually do. I know it's a big one. And Line 6 has been, in the early days, they were kind of the leaders in the multi-effects world with the pods and all those great little units that they came out with that were quite affordable. And I mean, back in the day, they didn't sound fantastic compared to today's standards. But, back then, it was still pretty interesting that what you can do. And they've been getting better and better throughout the years. And now I think they're trying to chip away at some of the market that Fractal has, gained and Kemper and all these other great units that are out there now. There's a lot more competition. So they have to actually do something better, and it's going to be interesting to see. I haven't tried one yet. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it in action. I know it has a really nice screen on it, and it has a lot of those foot switches and the same little LED screens like the Fractal has. And I'm just wondering if it'll be able to keep up with all of the deep editing that you can do with these other units. So that remains to be seen. So John says, we just started daylight savings here last night. So the start time for this show has moved to Monday at 1:30 a.m. I'll go to and we'll go to 2:30 when Canada stops daylight savings. Yeah, daylight savings is always a pain, and I don't know, maybe I need to reconsider the time slot for the videos moving forward, just to make it more easier for everyone. But I would have to start way early in the morning to make it earlier for you, John. I mean, if it's 1:30 a.m. there, I mean, either I would have to go way later on my end, or start at like 8 a.m. or something like that on a Sunday, which I don't really want to do, especially on a Sunday. I'm not an early riser. I like to at least be able to sleep in a little bit, and Sunday is my day. So unfortunately, I don't have an easy answer unless I start doing flip-flop shows like I did in the past, where I would do one weekend in the morning and one weekend at night or something like that. That could be interesting as well. I don't know. Nylon Burning says, you look like an old buddy of mine, Motor City James, harmonica player from Manhattan. Rest in peace, James. I don't know who you're talking about. Maybe I can Google him. Maybe he's my, what do they call that? A doppelganger? Motor City James. Let's see. Motor City James. I don't see any images popping up. I don't know how popular he was, but I don't see anything popping up here. There's a lot of people out there that claim I look like someone. I get a lot of comments on my videos, and everybody's always commenting about how I look like somebody that they know. So I guess I have one of those faces. A face only a mother could love on payday. I get it, John. I know you weren't asking for a change, but you're not the only one that's in this predicament with the time slots. I wish they would just get rid of daylight savings time altogether. I think it's outlived its usefulness right now. So that was a long time ago in Manhattan in the 90s. Was he a famous person, semi-famous person? Would I find a photo of him on the internet, Nylon? Let me know. I'm curious. I'm always curious to see what people's perception of my looks are compared to my own. Wayne says, hey Rico, life's short. EVH Frankies are great. Don't wait. Spend your money and you won't regret the purchase. So obviously I missed some topic here earlier on. From what I'm gathering here is that Rico is looking at an EVH Frankie. Am I right? Interesting. If you are, those are, I love the EVH Frankies. I think they look fantastic. They have a lot of weight behind them. So Rico, I'm not gonna lie, if you have one of those guitars and you show up somewhere with one of those guitars, be ready to play some Van Halen licks. Because otherwise, if you show up somewhere and you start playing Stevie Ray Vaughan licks or blues licks or Clapton licks or something, it's kind of it doesn't jive. What you're seeing and what you're hearing doesn't jive. So that's the only disadvantage with owning one of those guitars. This is why I chose to build my own instead of buy one. Um, Plus, it was a very cool project for me, and I enjoyed it a lot. And it's back there behind me. You can see it over my shoulder right there. This guy, and a lot of people think it's the store bought version, but it's not. It's the one I built. David says his birthday's coming up. Hey, David, when's your birthday, dude? My birthday's coming up too. So are you a fellow Libra? There's a lot of Libras in my family. There's myself. My dad was a Libra. My daughter is a Libra. My son's a Libra. A lot of Libras. So October is a big, expensive month for me in terms of gifts and birthday cakes and all that great stuff. So let me know when your birthday is, dude. Hi, Tony. Just got the Singular Sound Beat Buddy 2. Great practice too. Do you use any kind of drum machine for practicing? I do when I can. I love being able to play with some drums because so many things here, guys. Just give me a second here. I keep rolling over my headphone jack, and I don't want to ruin this cable because they're so fragile. Too many things here. Sorry. Mississippi Blues, yeah, I love playing with drums whenever I can. A lot of these units have drums now, which are fantastic. A lot of looper pedals. You can do a lot of great stuff. It beats a metronome. It just makes it more fun, more realistic. And it's great for, exploring creative ideas, I would say. Rhythm is very important. And a lot of people that I know don't practice with a metronome or a drum machine. And they just play songs and noodle and stuff. And that's where you can really make sure that your timing is tight as if you're playing with a drum machine or a metronome. And if you don't, you're all over the place. You don't realize it. Even when you're practicing, if you're just practicing scales or finger exercises and stuff like that, the basics, just exercises like this. It's easy to play this sloppy. But when you're actually playing with a drum, that's when you actually know how clean you're playing and how tight you're playing and stuff like that. So it's I would highly recommend you guys try and play with a metronome at least whenever you can. Let me try and get a different sound out of this thing. Let's see here. What do we got here? VH4, Buddha, Dr. Z. Dr. Z38. What's that? Let's see. Okay. Princeton. I think my guitar is slightly out of tune. I love these little multi-effects units that can do some good clean sounds. A lot of them you really can't, and if you get them to be able to get good cleans, the rest is easy. It's really the cleans that will determine how good a unit actually is. So John says it's not daylight savings time that's the problem. It's the separate time zones. When I take over the world, everyone's going on Melbourne time. Let Americans eat lunch in the dark. I get it. Don't even mention the dark. Shane says, I thought the live would start an hour later. It's actually not daylight savings time here yet in Canada, Shane. So yeah. It's not time. It's going to happen, but not yet. I dread daylight savings time because you get home and it's dark. It's 5:30 and it's dark. It's time for bed, man. Guys, just want to remind you, please, if you're a regular on the show and you enjoy what we're doing, thumbs up would definitely help. We have one guy that's giving me a thumbs down, so we can kick this guy out. I love people that gives thumbs down and stick around. I don't know what that says, but anyway, we don't really care. It's not about the thumbs up or thumbs down, guys. It's just about having good participation. And most of you guys are really great. I enjoy having you guys here, and I appreciate you guys. Um, so Shane says, I bought another ESP pointy guitar, arrives tomorrow. So Shane, how many pointy guitars do you have right now? What's the final tally? Be careful, because if you piss off your wife with bringing in too many guitars, especially if they're pointy, she can use them against you and hurt you, man. Maybe you should go with semi-round guitars from now on, if you're in the danger zone. Hopefully you're not. David says we have the same birthday, Libra power. So my birthday's on the 15th. Your birthday's on the 15th too? That's cool, man. Libras are cool. Sometimes we could be a little flaky, but we're cool. So yeah, tell us what you got, Shane. I'm curious. Don't keep us in suspense. I'd love to know. So Rico says, I've mentioned that I've been looking for a used Frankie, but they're going from 1,005 plus, and the new ones are now $2,100. Yeah, hold out, Rico. I'm telling you, you're gonna find something used for a better price. I wouldn't pay full price on anything. Prices on guitars are still going up, and used is the way to go. And especially on a Frankie, because you don't have to necessarily worry about getting a mint guitar. Doesn't matter if it has a couple of chips or dings or whatever, because Frankie's supposed to look like that anyways. So Shane says he got the ESP Grassroots Forest model, the pointy one. So this is a Forrest Gump, Shane? Nah, just kidding. I know it's not Forrest Gump. So what made you grab that one? Was it just a deal that was too good to pass up, or had you had your eye on it for a while and just finally pulled the trigger? I've been looking, I still look on a daily basis to see what else is out in terms of guitars. I haven't really been enticed by anything lately. I mean, again, I'm at a point where I have a lot of choice, so it's going to take something quite good to make me sort of pull the trigger. Plus, as you guys said, the prices are getting crazy. So, I think I kind of get my fix more with effects and toys lately more than guitars, because I think the guitars I have are kind of suiting my needs right now. So Paul says the Earthquaker devices Barrows, a Tone Bender Mark II for $130 USD, is now available. I'm still hesitating buying anything from the States now, Paul, just because of tariffs. I don't know if you guys are not worried about tariffs, or just, you end up paying them and whatever. But, for me, I'm kind of like hesitant, because I don't want to be surprised by extra fees, extra money to pay on these things. I don't know. I haven't really been keeping track of what the fees actually are and what's affected and what's not. So I prefer not to buy. That's, I'll buy local instead. That's what I'll end up doing. So David, you mentioned your birthday's coming up, and you mentioned hopefully you'll get some guitar related stuff. Is there anything that you have on your list? Perhaps something that you've dropped hints about that maybe your family or your friends might end up surprising you with? Dan says he has an internal metronome. If you do, Dan, that's fantastic. That's an excellent trait to have. Not that many people have good timing. So Shane is a repeat offender. He's bought the same type of guitar 3 times already, he says. So why do you keep on buying it, Shane? Is it because you're still not convinced? You buy, you sell, or you just like that style and you tend to collect those type of guitars? Curious to know. Says he sold 2, he's going to keep this one. So I guess you're trading up for the right one. You know, it's awesome that you can do that. Just end up buying something and then try it for a while and then really decide whether or not you should keep it or flip it. My guitar teacher always told me, sounds good. Now with the metronome. Instantly deflated. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We get confident sometimes. You know, we play a lick or a song or a solo, and we think it sounds pretty good. And then you play with a drum or a metronome, and you're totally off. One of the things I had a big challenge with was learning the solo to Smoke on the Water. And, you know, that's one of those songs that has been overly played, you know, to death. I totally get it. But the solo and the rest of the song has to be dead on. And if you're not dead on, you don't come out of the solo at the right place. It's very, very noticeable. And there's a lot of time stretch that happens during that solo that it's related to feel, and it's easy to be thrown off. And so many times, you know, it just doesn't work. You're playing it and, you know, the band's coming out of it and you're not at the right place because you were playing it too fast or too slow, or something's changed in the rhythm somewhere in the middle. And it's dead obvious when you're playing it in a live situation. So you have to be able to adjust for that. Very, very tricky. So your guitar teacher was right, D. Smith. So David, yeah, you're definitely a brother from another mother. We're both Libras, both on the same day. So it's coming up. Yeah, great, man. Yeah, very cool. See. So now, you know, we'll find you something, David. Don't worry. We'll find you something that you can add to your list. So Presley says, I'm the 29th. Another Libra. Presley, are you technically a Libra, or does it switch over to the other astrological sign on the 29th? I never really know. Some people are like, no, I'm not Libra because I'm at the end of the month and technically it's another astrological sign. Are you still Libra? I think you are, right? Hey, Boomerang, what's happening? So Shane says deal was too good. So by the way, there was a couple of you that did submit videos for the contest that we were running. Shane is one of them. There was a couple of others, and I didn't forget about you guys. And I think we're gonna just go ahead and do it. We're gonna have you guys on the show, and the only thing now is timing, because you know, Shane, for example, it's very late where you are, and another guest that has created a video might be in another part of the world. So we're gonna have to find a time where it works for all of us. So it might have to go earlier or later or on a different day. I'm just trying to figure out logistics. But I still would love to have you guys on the show, special guests. So we'll try and work it out. We'll try and see what works, and we'll select a day and we'll do it. I keep my word. If I say something, I'm gonna do it. Shane says it has a headstock crack, but only $90 used. Oh man, you can't complain about that. When you say a headstock crack, though, Shane, is that like a dent or a little chip, or is it like a full blown crack, like something that is a little bit more extreme? But for $90, everything's fixable. So David says strings, picks, but the stretch goal is a Squire Dual Sonic HS. Very cool. Well, I'm hoping you get what you wish for, David. That would be very nice. We'll make a great a great Christmas gift or birthday gift. But for you, obviously, it's birthday. All right. John says, I have several twins in the collection. I tend to buy two of the same as I always want to mod them, but also don't want to lose the stock specs as well. That's interesting. I have purchased twins a couple of times. Mainly, well, these, I bought two of these. These are technically twins. My Kramer Beretta Special are technically twins. I have two of those. More than two Telecasters and Stratocasters and Les Pauls and all that kind of thing. But I don't really buy them to mod them. You know, I just buy them because they're a little bit different from one another. So Paul says the new Beat Buddy 2 is a serious contender for world-class recording. It uses a real drummer to make the patterns. The timing is not digital, but in real time. $500. It's not cheap though, you know. $500. It's like you can almost pay a real drummer that much money to sit in on your session, kind of thing. But I get it. Yeah, it's probably one of the better units out there if you're seriously looking at playing with drums. David's been working on his spider exercises. I guess the next step is metronome or drums. It would be great to have a metronome, and it could be something off your phone, David. And once you start getting in the rhythm, it gets easier. Hey, Mark, what's happening? Nice to see you, dude. Yeah, it's Presley. I thought so. I know the cutoff. When is the cutoff for Libra when it switches over to Scorpio? Because Presley says he's a Scorpio. What is the cutoff date? Do you know? I'm not big on all the details, the technical information related to astrological signs, so I really don't know. Hey, Mark. Mark says he's late because he's having he has a gig. He's preparing for later today. No problem, dude. I appreciate you still tuning in. How do you do it, man? How do you you're gigging every weekend, gigging heavily? That's really good, man. Seems like things are pretty steady for you, dude. I catch some of your posts as they come through my feed for some of the gigs that you're doing. Looks like everybody's having a great time. So keep up the great work, dude. He says it's a dog benefit show with two legit artists, then me. What does that mean? Legit artist, man. You're legit. Come on, dude. Don't sell yourself short. And Paul says, Tony, the Barrows is damn impressive and 179 along and McQuaid. I'll have to take a look. Don't tempt me, Paul. Don't tempt me. But I'll check it out for sure. Shane is sending me porn. He's sending me pictures of his crack. So, Shane, I don't know if it's safe for if it's safe for sharing. I'm just looking at the picture. Yeah, I mean, that looks kind of superficial, I guess. You can fix that. I'm sure you can fix that. That doesn't look too bad. Maybe just inject a little bit of glue in the crack so it doesn't get worse. And then you can probably hide it just by, sanding it down, maybe giving it a coat of clear so you don't feel the crack as much. So what else have you guys spotted on the Guitar Summit info that has been bombarding us? I noticed that Fender was there kind of, but not really. What I mean by that is that they had a booth, but it was all of the Fender off brands instead of Fender itself. Did you guys notice that? So they had like Gretsch, they had Jackson, Charvel, EVH, but I think the actual Fender guitars, there wasn't that many. But it's good to see that they're actually participating in trade shows again. Because for a while they weren't. I don't know if you guys remember that. They kind of like, they sat a lot of the other big trade shows and didn't really do anything. So it's good to be able to see them at least showing something. And there was a couple of interesting additions to the Charvel line as well. So Boomerang says Libra September 23rd to October 22nd. Yeah, that's right. That's actually right. Is it 22nd or 23rd? Gotta check that. Where did you get that information, Boomerang? Like, where do you find this information? Who determines what the days are? I guess it's the stars and all that kind of stuff. Rico says, this past week I bought a used Digitech drop pedal on Reverb, 170 bucks, delivered with original box and power supply. It's been great to play with. I highly encourage toys, Rico. Whenever you're feeling a little bit bored or lacking any kind of creative flow, a little toy, something that you can play with in terms of just stimulating the creative juices and getting them flowing again. Sometimes it's a new sound. It's throwing in a delay pedal when you don't usually play with delay pedals, or playing with a metronome, playing with a drum machine, all that stuff. It's great because it really changes your perspective. It doesn't take much, One thing also that I noticed at the Guitar Summit, I don't know if you guys noticed this. I did. What was really cool is that Marshall came out with a module for Synergy. So I know a few of you have talked about these new Synergy head units and how interesting they are, because they can do a heck of a lot. And you have basically a modular amplifier that you can swap these little modules in and out of. And so Marshall came out with one at the Guitar Summit, and there was a JMP preamp. And if I'm not mistaken, it was designed in collaboration with Steve Vai for Synergy. And they unveiled it at the show apparently, and it seems really, really cool, and something I'd be interested in checking out, just to hear how authentic it actually sounds. And also, I believe Dweezil Zappa spent quite a bit of time over at the Marshall booth, and and it was great to see Marshall again at the show as well, because they were also sort of sitting out a lot of these events in the past. So now that Marshall has been sold recently, it would be great, if they start participating in these shows more and more, and we start seeing them again. Because I hope they're still going to come out with some really cool stuff. Paul says the only completion for serious recording is the Roland TR-1000 drum machine at $2,600. it's interesting that they decided to come out with that. And I think it's actually time, right? Because everybody was stuck on the 808 for a long time, and then they did come out with like a little update to the 808, but I think a lot of people will be interested in the TR-1000. However, $2,600 is steep. So because of the price, I don't know. I guess if you're recording, and you really need a tool like that, then 2,600 probably is not too bad. Although you can do a lot directly in your recording software, through MIDI and plugins and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways to get drums into your recordings and stuff like that. So, but I have no doubt that the TR-1000 will still be quite popular with a lot of people. John says Fender had a big presence at the Melbourne Guitar Show this year, but it was in partnership with a music store. So, though Fender authorized it, it was the store that did all the work and brought stock. I see. Okay. So I guess they're trying to mitigate expenses. Maybe I don't know why they're not more. I don't know why they're not more actively participating in these shows. If anybody should be participating, I would think it would be the big brands, right? Eastman also came out with some really cool guitars, a little different. They had a couple of guitars that were kind of road-worn style guitars, but they didn't look anything like any other guitar that you could imagine. Like they were a common. They were their own thing. They had P90s. One of them had like a sunburst finish with P90s, but it had almost like the Jaguar style bridge on it. Really unique shape. I would say cross between a Telecaster and I don't know what. Very unique looking guitar. But a lot of people mentioned that they like them. So I wouldn't necessarily buy that. It's not my style. But other people mentioned that it was interesting because it was something really new and fresh. Jeff says, I can confirm that the Marshall module is awesome. Do you have one, Jeff? How are you confirming this? Did you listen to it? Did you hear it? Or do you own it? MFN says, Tony, not a question but a comment. Your last live show with Mr. Serafini was truly interesting. I'm seriously getting the THU. Great show. Thank you. Hey, my pleasure, dude. And for those of you who actually won the giveaway, let me know if you guys actually tried your download yet and what you guys think of it. I'm a big fan of THU, and for those of you that participated in that live show, it was very interesting, and I could have probably stayed on for another 2 hours asking him all kinds of questions. Thomas has a lot of information in his head about how to get things done, and I love playing through that software. It's really, really mind-blowing what you could do and how good it's come. And if anybody hasn't already tried it, I would highly encourage you guys to at least download the free trial and play around with it. I think you're going to be, if you have a good computer system, for example, with decent speakers that you can connect to it and some kind of an interface, because you do need an interface to be able to use it. Get yourself something cheap. It'll still work. And yeah, you'll be able to do some crazy stuff. So take a look at that. I also noticed that at the Guitar Summit, there was a couple of new brands. Infinia, did you guys see that? That's a new brand that came out recently. I don't know too much about them. They look a little bit like the Chapman guitars, or they have that kind of Chapman style to them. I don't know the prices on these, but they're interesting. At least they're interesting looking guitars, and I'm curious to learn more about them. Take it easy, Presley. Have a good day at work, man. Don't overdo it. Thanks for stopping in. We all, we forget that, we still got to work. People still got to work. Sucks. I thought we could just, get by just playing guitar all the time, but no, that's not the case. Jeff says, yes, I got one, Tony. I have the Friedman Dirty Shirley and the Harry Brown Eye modules. The Marshall one takes the title for me. I hope Vox do an official module as well. So you prefer the Marshall one, eh? Yeah. I think, if it's true to the actual real one, I know why you probably prefer the Marshall, because it's just like the Friedman's cool, the Harry Brown Eye is cool, but you have that fur on it that you can't really get rid of. Whereas the Marshall, you have a good clean platform, and then you could stack pedals on there, and you could probably get close to the Friedman or the Harry Brown Eye, depending on what pedals you use. So it's probably way more flexible, in my opinion. And I'm just talking without necessarily having tried it, but through what I've heard, I can tell through the videos and stuff. There was an interesting article regarding, how Gibson has been dealing with headstock breakage on their guitars. Basically, it's a design flaw that they've been living with for over 60 years. And it's interesting that we're still talking about this. Because honestly, I don't know why Gibson is sleeping on this. They could easily fix the issue by making some changes that wouldn't be, completely changing the look or the style of their guitars, but be making them better. But they refuse for some reason to even address it, which is weird, considering how many people do deal with breakages off the headstocks, off Gibsons. I always worry about that. I'm super careful, but it could happen to anyone, especially like SGs, for example. My SG has a thinner neck, front to back. So there's not much meat there. Once they hollow out the space for the truss rod, you basically have a little bit of meat on both sides of the truss rod. And that's all that's holding that headstock in place. So if you hit it too hard, or drop it or whatever, it can easily snap off. And people have been dealing with this for a long time, but Gibson hasn't done anything about it. They can reinforce it. They can put some, I don't know, metal rods, or some kind of carbon fiber dowels or something in there where it's hidden and you don't see it, but it would make a big difference. I guess they're just they're reluctant because they want to. They make a lot of money off of the idea that you're getting a Gibson just like the old ones, and the more accurate they can reproduce the old ones, the more they can charge you. But that doesn't necessarily mean you need to reproduce all of the defects as well, all of the issues. Yeah, Paul, I heard about that. Fender bought GNL. It hasn't been announced, but apparently that seems to be the news. Yeah, and I'm a little disappointed, I gotta say. Why? Because I used to own a GNL back in the day, and when I bought it, well, Leo had already passed away. It hadn't been long, though, that Leo had passed away. So they were still being made small runs, small quantities, and largely still by hand. I mean, certain things were being made on machines, on CNC machines, but there was still a lot of the guitar, at least the one I bought, that was still being made by hand. It still had the little birthmark holes where they would put them on the shaping machines and stuff like that. And it was a great guitar, by the way. I regret selling that guitar. I should have kept it. Um, so I I felt like it was still uh, a small company, just like Leo originally intended for Fender to be, and you would be getting that careful attention to detail. But it was announced that GNL Guitar Research um, basically ceased operations, I believe they mentioned, at their and basically furloughed, that means fired, all its employees last week. Not fired, but I guess gave them notice. Um, Maybe they don't really know what's going to happen next yet. So it hasn't really been confirmed. That's the thing. I mean, there's rumors. This is what's happening, but we didn't really get an official statement from anyone yet. There's supposedly some kind of buyout in the works, which means that they're basically buying GNL mostly for their assets and their trademark. So what that means is basically Fender will have sole access to any reference to Leo Fender's name from now on. So nobody can use Leo Fender in any kind of advertising or anything like that except Fender. What's going to happen with the brand? I don't know. It probably will become an offshoot of Fender, just like EVH and Jackson and Gretsch and all those other brands. Probably that's what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised. It would make sense. I mean, but it's a little bit of a sad day when your choices start to dwindle away. It's sad when the big companies just gobble up everything, yeah, and then you have less choice. Not less choice, but less variety, I would say. They end up controlling a bigger portion of the market, and all these small companies that could potentially come out with really cool stuff out of left field don't really do that anymore. They kind of stifle creativity because they're more focused in making money, on making money. But who knows? Maybe good things will come out of it. I don't know. It's hard to say at this point. David says it would be cool if Fender started incorporating locking saddles. Locking saddles would be cool. The bridges that have the metal dowel pins that go into the body of the guitar, that would be cool. The adjustable pull pieces, the micro adjustments on the pull pieces, not just like regular adjustments, but they had really cool adjustments in some of those GNL guitars as well. That would be cool. Yeah, there was quite a few different things. I don't know, David, Dan, D. I don't know if Fender will do the to GNL what Gibson did with Kramer. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe not. Maybe not. Hard to tell. Paul says each GNL were made like the Fender custom shop, one guy on the guitar except for the paint. The early models, yes, Paul. That's basically like the guitar I purchased was kind of built like that. Later, of course, they started having offshoots where they were made overseas and not necessarily produced in that fashion. But the earlier ones were, and those were the better ones. The one I bought was a GNL kind of like a standard Strat. It had a really nice. It was a sunburst, but it was a little bit more like a little bit more of an orange burst. Maple neck on it, and I think I paid it $1,900 back in the day, which was a substantial amount of money for those days. But it played really, really well. It always sounded great, and I shouldn't have sold it. I should have just hung on to it. They may do that, Shane. They may do that. But, Fender is kind of like Gibson in the sense that they don't want to go too crazy, because people want to think that they're getting the same type of Fender like the vintage ones. And so if they go too crazy and start changing things too suddenly or too abruptly, they might turn some people off, right? We'll see. But yeah, that was interesting news. To me, I didn't expect that to be coming. But GNL was never a huge operation, so it's hard to keep up. And I would imagine that sales weren't necessarily where they needed to be. So it was probably just a matter of time, right? Yeah, the US models were, yeah, exactly, Paul. Yeah, there was a big difference between the US models and the overseas ones. And the one I had was US. I had purchased another one which was overseas, which was a Telecaster style GNL. It was very good too. I'm not knocking the overseas stuff. It was very good, but it wasn't the same caliber as the American made one. Rob, that's where they originally were. I don't know if they moved since then, but they were. The guitar I bought was made in Fullerton. Yeah. But since then, I don't know what happened. I haven't really been keeping track with all the day-to-day stuff in terms of if they've moved or if they expanded or they changed stuff. I don't really know. I couldn't really answer that question. One thing I learned today, oh, not today, but this week, is that I don't know if you guys know this, maybe you do, being a Van Halen fan, I should know this. I learned this week that the song Wild Thing, if you guys remember from Tone Loc, uh, the drums at the beginning of that song actually came from the beginning of Jamie's Crying from Van Halen. Did you guys know that? Or am I the only one who just realized that so many years later? I didn't realize that. How crazy is that? You call yourself a fan, right? But little do you know, I was listening to it and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, that sounds like the drums at the beginning of Jamie's Crying. So I listened to both of them. I'm like, yeah, it is. It really is. And then I kind of did some research online just to see if I was imagining things, and it's actually true. So the beginning the beginning of that song was basically Alex Van Halen playing the that part. It's a little bit modified, but that's the beginning of Jamie's Crying. And apparently, when the song came out, I think the Van Halen had asked for some kind of payment, like a flat fee of like $5,000 because they were using that beginning little intro riff. But then when it became a hit, they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, you owe us more than 5,000," and I think they settled for like $180,000 or something like that because it had become a big hit. Um, so yeah, I learned something here. Um, David said, "Isn't the guitar in a Wild Thing from Van Halen too?" That's yeah, Wild. That's what I'm saying. The guitar. Yeah, I think the guitar too. Yeah, there is a little riff in there as well. if I'm not mistaken. But the part I caught was the drums, the beginning drum intro. So yeah, learn something new every day. Hey guys, now that AI is here, we better get ready because you're going to be hearing a lot of that. I actually started listening to the song "Many Men" from 50 Cent. There's a cover of that song now on YouTube, and it's done in like a Motown style, and it's actually pretty good. I'm not a 50 Cent fan. I just listened to it because I knew it was generated by AI and I was curious. And I started to listen to it. And I'm like, I shouldn't be liking this, but it's actually pretty good. And this is, in the baby stages of AI. So we'll be hearing a lot of AI generated music in the next couple of years. David says, I remember Vanilla saying that Ice Ice Baby wasn't a ripoff of Under Pressure. Really? I don't know how he could claim that. It's pretty obvious. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't buy it. I don't think so. Yeah, there's more and more of these mashup or spin-off videos now coming out with AI. Pretty nuts. I've heard a few already. And some of them, like I said, are pretty good. I'm like, I'm not going to like it. It's AI. No way. Can't be good. And I started listening to it. I'm like, holy shit. We're in big trouble. Houston, we got a problem. What's going to end up happening now, guys? I guarantee it's probably already happening. Is that, you're going to get people like Lady Gaga and all these artists that are out there today. They're going to just reverse what they're using. Instead of like having AI generate music for them, they're just going to use AI to say, okay, write me a song, write me a composition, give me the chord changes, give me a feel, whatever. They're going to listen to it. And then they're just going to say, okay, let me just reproduce that. Let me just put my voice over it. Let me just put my words over it. But the bulk of the structure of the song will probably be generated by AI if it's not already being done by AI. I'm sure a lot of artists that, if you have artist block, you don't know what to do, you're lacking creativity, just generate stuff all day long. And say, oh, I like that. Yeah, let me use that idea. That's what's going to happen. I guarantee it's already happening. So, unfortunately, we're already on the decline when it comes to creativity. And you would think that, AI would be, the last thing that AI would be able to take over would be creativity, but it doesn't seem like that's the fact at all. I think, it's already whipping our ass at, any kind of statistics, any type of mathematics, any type of calculations. So you would think that, creativity, the human aspect of, sort of bonding with a song or connecting with a song or a lyric wouldn't be something that AI could snag from us, but it's already proving us wrong. So, yeah, just a matter of time, boys. There's going to be a lot of unemployed musicians out there, let me tell you. So that leads me to my poll question, guys. Today's poll question was a little bit of an eye-opener kind of type question. I wanted to ask your opinion because I know where I kind of sit on this type of question, but I wanted to get your input. And basically, the question that I asked was, if your son or daughter would come to you and ask you whether or not, or tell you that they wanted to go into music full time, what would you tell them? Would you encourage it? Would you discourage it? What would be your message? I'm curious to know. We'll answer we'll answer that in a couple of minutes here, but just think about that if you haven't already answered the poll question. Yeah, Shane, I heard about that. New Megadeth drop this week. You must be happy about that. I haven't listened to it. I don't know if it's any good or not. Have you listened to it yet? D. Smith says AI can reverse engineer a song and play it in a different key and at a different tempo. Yeah, and give it a completely different spin as well. Play it in a different style. Say, make this into a jazz version, make it into a reggae or Motown version. It can do all of that. And it can do it in minutes. Gene says, my dad said, don't touch my guitar, so I became a drummer. You showed him, Gene. Cool Tune says, I support anything they want to do. That, I think, is the right answer, Gene, ultimately. Basically, as a parent, our job is to, guide and stay out of the way. Let them figure out their own path. Let them make their own mistakes. And I'm not saying playing guitar or becoming a musician is a mistake by any means. It's a long shot, and it's a hard road, and it's moving forward with the way things are going technologically and all that kind of stuff. It's got even more challenges, and the chance that you're gonna make it, even if you have talent, it's not just about talent, right? Vox Guitar saying he's playing his Squire in honor of Tony's picks today, my guitar pick. So you're sending me the Squire love by playing yours. Very cool. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So yeah, it's not just about talent. It's about luck. It's about being able to hear somebody tell you no over and over and over and over and over and over again, and still go for it, not get discouraged, and all that stuff. I mean, the music industry is really difficult. It's not really conducive to allowing you to survive. It's everything out there is made to kind of get you. And I'm rolling over my headphone wire again. I think I have to go wireless, guys. Yeah, it's getting to that point where I'm gonna have to go wireless. Yeah, so all those things, being at the right place at the right time, meeting the right people that will help you and not take advantage of you and screw you, and all these things that are associated with the music industry. And as we know, record companies mainly were out there to make a buck for themselves and screw the artists. We can tell that, just by what happened to a lot of artists over the years. John Fogerty is a very good example of that, where he got screwed because he signed the wrong contract, when he was young. And ever since then, he hasn't been able to actually, benefit from any of his music till recently. So talk about getting screwed. I mean, the guys was, in the days where CCR was in the heyday, when they were the most popular, they were probably the biggest band in America. They kind of reached the plateau, and he should be able to retire and benefit from all of his hard work and all the money that he made, but he didn't make anything. He got screwed out of it for so many years, just till recently. It's a crazy story. So yeah, the joys of being a musician. Now, I don't want to discourage anybody, you know, but, you know, a wise man once told me, and again, it's discouraging to hear something like that, but I remember a relative of mine was a very good guitarist. He played very, very well, and he was great actually. And I remember, when his dad heard that I wanted to get into guitar too. I had an interest in guitar, and we were at the table with a bunch of other people, and you know, he told me honestly, he's like, playing guitar is great. He's like, but making a living at it is a whole other story. And he's like, look around the table. How many musicians are around the table that are doing this for a living? And the answer was none. So, it's not like he was wrong. It's absolutely right. But I would say if you have a passion for music, go for it. Just make sure that you have something else as well. Maybe get your diploma as an accountant or whatever else you have as a backup first, and then go for the music and see where you can, where it leads you. But just have a backup. That's all. That's all I can tell you. Hey, Gene, I appreciate that you enjoyed it. Yeah, I wasn't there last week, but I'm glad you enjoyed the interview with Thomas, and we'll probably do it again. I mean, we could definitely talk way more about that topic. And if you guys are interested in hearing more, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to do that, for sure. Wayne says, wireless rocks, Tony. I spent the money and no more tripping at chords in front of my lazy boy. Just do it. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to. We're at that stage. Paul says, when AI is used, it's not unusual to ask AI to present 10 tunes and only one will be usable. Most border on laughable. Yes. However, Paul, as I said, we're at the infancy stage, and already, some of the stuff that's coming out is not laughable. And it depends what you're using in terms of a tool. There's a lot of tools out there. They're not all good, obviously. Some of them, I know what you're saying. Some of them are like, it's a joke. But others is not. And I'm like, okay, within the next 5 years, you won't be able to tell the difference. It's going to move that fast. Hey, Shane, take care, dude. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure you're well rested so you can give 110%. You don't necessarily have to give it all in one day, though. I split it out through the week usually. Other thing that I want to talk about is Nuno. Nuno Betancourt has launched his own guitar brand, Nuno Guitars. Who would have thought? I think he was a big sponsor of the Washburn guitars, if I'm not mistaken, for a long time. But I guess he decided to take the step, and now he's launched his own brand. I wonder if it's going to succeed. A lot of people are, they want to start their own brand, but it's one thing being a guitarist, another thing owning a business. But maybe it's the right time for him. So I'm going to be curious to see what kind of models. I think they're not going to be that different from, the look and feel that we've seen on the Washburn models that he's used in the past. They'll probably be quite similar to those. But I'm curious to see what's going to come out. Hey, more guitars means more choice. I have nothing against someone coming out with something new, something different. Whether it'll last, whether it would sell, that remains to be seen. I don't know. We'll see. There's also good news for any Fractal users like me. The Fractal 10.00 firmware is out, and I haven't actually downloaded it yet, but I'm curious to see what it can do. It's been a while, so I'm probably going to do that this weekend and see exactly what it offers. I know there's a new pitch block function that they've put in there, but I don't know if there's anything else of note. It's great when a company launches something like that, like offers you a little firmware update, because they always throw in some really nice stuff, and I love taking advantage of it. For me, it's like Christmas. You get something for free. What else, guys? What else can we talk about? There's still a lot of other things that popped up in my feed, but I didn't want to necessarily hog the airways, and I wanted to leave you guys a chance to bring up some topics that you wanted to talk about. So, is there anything you guys want to talk about, or do I just keep blabbing? I don't mind doing either one. Oh, and speaking of free updates. So yes, Fractal did come out with the firmware update, but Overloud also put out an update and is now including a free Range Master pedal in its software as well. So if you guys are fans of the Range Master pedal, you get it for free in the Overloud software. So Dave says now Washburn, oops, now Washburn can evaporate and focus on acoustics. You think that's what's gonna happen, Dave? You think they're just gonna, without having a big name sponsor, a big name to push their brand, you think they're just gonna die in terms of their electric guitars? I don't know. I mean, they've been around for a long time. They do make some good acoustics, though, I gotta say. Samurai has his own guitar company too. I think a lot of people are actually doing that now, just riding the wave, getting supplemental income so that they have something to fall back on, not just the music, right? Gene says Rick Beato and Robin Trower interview. I saw that, Gene. I saw it coming through my feed. I didn't watch it yet, though. The last one I watched was the interview he did with John Fogerty, which I found really interesting. Martin says, what camera are you using, Tony? I'm using a webcam, Logitech. Why? Is it that bad? Vox says, are the expensive tone capacitors worth the money? No, they're not. A capacitor is a capacitor, Vox. It's a value. That's all it is. It doesn't matter who makes them or what it looks like. A lot of people will spend a lot of money on capacitors like the Bumblebee capacitors, the oil and foil capacitors, the more vintagey ones, and they claim that it sounds better. It's a value. It doesn't make a difference. You're not going to be able to tell the difference. So don't spend money on expensive tone capacitors. John says, Tony, when are you announcing your guitar company? If you did, what would be your first model? Interesting question. I don't know. It would probably be, it probably wouldn't be very different than some of my favorite models, like a Telecaster or a Strat type guitar. I don't know how much better I'd be able to make a guitar. It's not an easy question. Like if somebody says, Tony, what would you improve on a guitar? I mean, I don't know. I definitely try and make a guitar lighter. I think I prefer lighter guitars. Um, to me, the bridge is very important, so I would pay a lot of attention to what kind of bridge goes into it, what kind of pickups go into it. Um, Other than that, man, it's basically, wood and wire. Maybe the tolerances, making sure that things don't bind up, that the strings flow freely on over the nut, and you don't have that sticky G string. Maybe figure out a way to make pickups modular so you can put them in and swap them out quicker. I don't know. Besides that, I don't really know. It's a difficult question. I'm going to have to think about that. But maybe I can give it some thought and come back with a better idea next week or something. But I try and keep the prices reasonable. That's probably one of the best things I probably would be able to focus on, would be just like keeping costs down. And I mean, my biggest pet peeve is tuning. If a guitar doesn't stay in tune, that's the biggest problem. Pickups could be changed, everything else could be changed, but tuning, resonance, just being able to have something that resonates well. Rob says, I'm looking to get a 4-in, 4-out PC interface. Any experience with any of these or recommendations? SSL 2 Plus, Mark II, Mo2, M4, Focusrite, Scarlett. There's a lot of good stuff out there, man. It really depends on your budget. I have no problem with the Focusrite stuff. Mo2 is good too. I mean, it really depends on your budget, dude. How much do you want to spend? I know that they're not that, like a 4-in, 4-out, you're looking at probably like $500-600, right? Around there. How much are they actually going for right now? Some of them are really, the Apollo stuff is really good too, but it's expensive. If you can afford a Apollo, I'd probably go Apollo. They have great plugins and stuff as well. Dan says, can you recommend a pickup similar to a Duncan JB? Why not just get the Duncan JB if that's what you want? Yeah, 300 US, about 500 Canadian. That's about it. Yeah, exactly. I go for the Apollo. They're pretty solid. I don't think you're gonna have issues with that. All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up because we're going to an hour and a half. Gonna save some for next week. Unless you have a last minute question that you want me to answer, I'll do that. But other than that, I'm probably gonna wrap it up. I got some videos to work on as well. I'm gonna be doing a video on the NUX Amp Academy Stomp. I have a couple of other little units that I need to show you, and some other cool tools and stuff for another messy workbench installment video. I think you guys are gonna like that as well. So yeah, stay tuned for those things. Those will be coming this week. I'm just trying to get enough time to crank these videos out. And if you guys have any other questions, I always say this, even though, the video's out and we talked about all this stuff, don't be shy to ask questions in the comments. I'll still answer your questions even after we're offline and the live Sunday show is over. So don't worry about it. It's my pleasure. John said, Smith Artist guitars, bullbuckers are clones of a JB and Jazz combo, but not sure if available everywhere. But I just don't understand why you would be looking for an alternate. If you like the JB, just get the JB. They're easy to find. They're all over the place. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for spending another Sunday with me. Please give me a thumbs up on your way out if you haven't already done so. If you have any gear, guitar related questions, put them in the comments. Otherwise, tune in next Sunday and we might have some special guests if I can swing coordinating all of that, or at the very least, some more interesting guitar related and gear related news. So I'm looking forward to the next one. Hope you guys are too. Paul says the Trower interview is excellent. The guy still has it mentally 100% together. He's always been a little bit of a phenom, Paul. You know, Robin Trower, and if you guys don't know Robin Trower, you should go out and listen to some of his stuff. Always been a very put together musician and hasn't really deviated over the years. Still amazing. So I'm probably going to watch that tonight, Paul. As I head off to sleep, I'll probably put that on and see how much I could watch of it before I actually doze off. But thanks for the reminder. All right, guys. Thank you so much. David, thank you for participating, and thank you for the video too, David. Love to have you on the show as well. And we'll catch up with some more gear-related news next week, guys. So stay safe, keep practicing, make music be your guide, and it'll keep you out of trouble. That's it for this week. See you guys soon.